This is a look at the market on the day. And again, this is not a overreaction. This is what's happening. This is actually NVIDIA behind my head, down 6% on the day. The notion that we've been saying is you might see some bounces. You might see a little bit of upside, but you have to understand where the rubber meets the road, where you can actually start to get bullish on the market, because it's not right now. Like, this isn't just a call out to say, oh, we were right. This is to further push the agenda of pay attention, right? Now, I'm going to go into what's happening here with Trump, what's happening. Obviously, he's easing up on some of the tariffs in the short term. We'll talk about that. Big news from Russia with France. This is really terrible in the market, and I don't know why no one's talking about it. This is terrible. This is terrible news, right? But again, I want to go over futures very quickly so you can identify and know what you're looking at. And when I go over futures, maybe this is a little bit like intimidating, okay? And we can use SPY, it doesn't matter. We can use any of these examples, right? But futures, and I want to just push this to you guys, right? I have a lot of educational content on my second channel. I don't know what just happened, but it's free education. And on our website, we have it. Like, links are down below, okay? And if you want to trade with us every day, like that's also there for you, right? Where we're hand-holding you, go through the whole process. You know, these are just members from today. This guy first week with us. Again, this isn't to hype us up. Again, we're just indicators. You guys have to make the decisions for yourself. But we just kind of try to give you the tools to succeed. So Discord links down below as well. But I'm so big on futures because if you don't know where futures are going, then you don't really know where your stock or your equities are going. And futures paint the path. So going into NASDAQ, this is why you see me mention it in almost every one of my videos. The NASDAQ was breaking down below major levels. And I can get rid of all my drawings. It doesn't matter. And I post this on Twitter, which if you don't follow me on Twitter, I recommend doing so you can get more updates. But look what happened here. So a few days ago, the 25th through basically the 27th, you break below your 100 MA here, the green line, 100 daily moving average, just regular moving average, 1, 2, breakdown. Now, I'm going to tell you this. When you look at the NASDAQ, you rarely touch your 100-day moving average. And really, 100 and 200 are viewpoints to understand the underlying trend of what's happening, okay? So when you test them, you expect to find buying or confirmation back in your overall direction, meaning, like, look here at NASDAQ. Basically, from September into basically February 18th, you bounced on your 100 MA. So going to that point, I expected us to bounce. Once we lost it, things got a lot more interesting. And you're seeing, we're sitting there, we're rejecting, we shoot down again. And then I literally was like, guys, I don't know what we're talking. You're repeating the cycle. You break down 1, 2 to the downside. Very similar pattern of what's happening. And so now you're below your 200 daily moving average. And for anyone that wants to discount this, and I'm not saying that you have to go to lows and we're going to have a 2022 crash, but you need to understand what happens when you break these levels, okay? The last time we really held below your 200 daily moving average was way back in 2022. When you broke below on a daily time frame and held for like a day or two, you dropped from 16 or 17K down to 15.6, 1.4K worth of a drop on points on NASDAQ, right? 1,400 points. Bounced up, rejected, died again, right? And then you held down for like 2 years or a year, right? Now, I'm not saying that's going to have to happen, but it's important to understand what's happening here, right? You are literally seeing massive, massive rejections off this level. You come into 20,700, reject another 500 to 600 points, back and forth, back and forth. You have to understand what's happening and why you're doing this, okay? So let's go into the fundamentals. We'll come back to the chart here in a second. Now, number one, so everyone's like, well, Trump's putting off tariffs. Now, up into today, like middle of the day today, it was only regarding automotive tariffs, right? Ford, GM, things like that. Now, let me tell you something very quickly. No one's going out and buying a bunch of cars right now. Just the car market's not the best market when interest rates are still, they're coming down, but they're still pretty high. Okay. Now people might be going and buying some, but car sales are down. That's why Tesla's down in the EU. Tesla's down basically everywhere overall on expectations besides like China right now. Okay. Very important to understand that. Number one. Number two, this is interesting, right? Especially if it's most goods, specifically food. We get a lot of food and produce from Mexico. So this will be big. And I'm not talking about the avocados from Mexico, right? We love those things, though. I'm not going to, I just had a bagel with a little avocado on top, a little egg on top, a little sriracha. Woo! Let me tell you, got me ready to go to work, dare I say. But again, it's important that we understand what's happening. And this is relatively kind of good news, right? But what's important to understand is all the goods like China, what we're doing with the EU, things along those lines. Those still tariffs still coming in, and reciprocal tariffs are going out as well, right? And this might go down over time, but you need to understand you are just now you're getting downside on the market from this news, but you're not even getting downside from the negative impacts that it's going to bring. We've seen again, David Taper, right, owner of Carolina. I was big on mentioning these guys over the past 3 weeks before we started dropping. They were all pointing to downside. We had Steve Cohen, right? We all know Steve Cohen, right? Owner of the Mets, Billions TV show, first 2 seasons after that guy. One of the best day traders, short-term traders of all time, short traders, right? Bearish. Tariffs are bad. So again, we haven't even seen the negative side of that. It's very important to realize. We're just saying this is like a news event. So what happens in theory when inflation starts to spark from this? Very important to understand. Something else that, and this could possibly be kind of good news over time in an indirect way. Okay, so I want to go to Twitter really quick so you guys can see. Okay, I want to be very quick about this. Job cuts in February hit highest monthly total since July 2020. Since 2020. Now, I will say, why is this in theory possibly good news? We know unemployment rates, the way the Fed will cut is based off of 2 things. If the market just gets in a very bad position, GDP gets slammed and the market just looks bad, which GDP we talked about is getting destroyed recently. This is the other side of it. If unemployment rises, you have to remember the dual mandate of the Fed, which their primary mandate is maximizing employment, right? That is the primary goal. So if you start seeing unemployment creep its way back up into the high 4%, dangerous game, and the Fed will have to start cutting rates, which we've seen kind of being priced in on yields, right? The 10-year treasury yield, TLT's finding buyers. The other thing is the dollar is dying. The dollar is getting waylaid right now, so very interesting what's happening there. But again, this is only good if unemployment raises. That's where you start to think, man, maybe the Fed starts to cut. But the Fed has even said that you are going to see inflation reactions from the tariffs, right? So again, why is this important? Because you're not even seeing the reaction on the market. So calling for a bottom before you even see any type of reaction, because these tariffs haven't even been in place for over 2 days. Like we set tariffs out and then we're like, oh, we'll tinker them off and we'll try to negotiate more. I have a gut feeling some people aren't going to agree with whatever we try to negotiate with. Okay? We can't even get a deal done with Ukraine and they're in a war. Now, again, we all have our own opinions on that. Do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, people don't like to agree. And Trump he's going to play hardball. I think he will ride this one out. So important there. The next thing goes back into Ukraine. This was wild. I recommend going, and again, this isn't a political channel. It's not what this is. I'm not, people are like, is Tyler pro? Is he pro Putin? No, I'm not. I'm going to clarify that first. But you should go listen to Emmanuel Macron's speech that he gave last night. It was interesting. And Putin was not a fan. Now, I'm not saying that we should all cater to Putin and we should all just give him whatever he wants. That's not what I'm saying. But you shouldn't poke the bear. Poking the bear is not a good idea, right? Like if you're at a schoolyard, right? And there's a big bully over there, right? And you just don't got what it takes to take down the bully, man. Or maybe the bully has a bunch of other bully friends, okay? Maybe it's not the best thing for you to go up and say, hey, if you look at me wrong, I might hurt you, might use a weapon on you. Basically what French president kind of insinuated at to protect his European allies with this nuclear arsenal. And said it's going to start sending more intelligence and helping Ukraine, even though the United States took a step back. Putin didn't like it. And so I just think it's in a very sticky situation. And again, you should go just read what's happening out there, right? I just don't think it's not good. It's not good news, right? So people will be like, Tyler, you should talk about politics. Well, spoiler alert, politics move the market, whether you want to believe it or not. Okay. Now, in the after hours today, I have to go pick my son up from school in a minute. You will have AVGO Broadcom earnings. I don't know how, I think their earnings are going to go well. Personally, you're at a really big level here on AVGO as well. Like, as you can see, you're below it. not ideal. But again, you are still on a big level. Interesting enough. But again, we'll see. Now, I want to say something though. In order for me to start looking for a bounce, I've said this. I don't know how many times I've said it, but I've said it a lot. In order for Tyler to start looking for a bounce, let me just move this back. I actually deleted my 200 for some reason. Okay. You need to get back above your 200 daily moving average. If you're not above your 200 daily moving average, I can't go long in good conscience. I can't do it. It makes no sense, right? Because you're getting rejected there just like we did before. And we've seen the dangers of getting rejected at your major level like this. So again, I just urge caution at the very least. Now, there's some really big setups out there for downside, but I still think going into this earnings, we'll just see what happens and see what takes place there. Now, another viewpoint here, I do want to highlight. Let me get rid of all these drawings, and I just want to use some common sense logic of what's happening here as well. When we go to the daily chart, it's important to realize the NASDAQ over the past 5 days, right? Again, where's Monday right here? Monday, you opened up at 21,000. You dropped around 1,000 points on the week on NASDAQ. The week before that, going back to the Monday before, right? Monday right here, you opened up at 21,700. You dropped about 1,000 points there, right? And then bounced back up a little bit, but still pretty terrible. The week before that, you guessed it. It's been around an average of 600 to 1,000 points every single week so far for the past 3 weeks. So the question is do we start to find buyers, right? That's $1 million question. Now, if we hold below the 200, I don't want to look for buyers, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's like you're at a gunfight and someone says, you think it's going to rain later? You're like, I don't know. There's guns flying. There's bullets flying around. Why do I care if it's going to rain later? I should be worried about where we're at right now. Because the reality is if you do not get back above the 200, in my opinion, this is a bold opinion. This is very bold. And people are going to be like, Tyler, you're getting too bearish. But again, it's funny. When I was really bullish, everyone said I don't get bearish. But now that I'm looking at the downside, it's both sides, right? But again, if you stay below the 200 in May, you are coming down. I'm looking for 19.5, 19.6 highs back from March of last year. And you're losing these levels fast. Your next line of defense is 19.95. But in my opinion, I think you break that. If you come down and you see, more bad news, sellers continue to step in, you will drop. You had every opportunity today to bounce. I just didn't see it. We'll see how we react if buyers can step back in. As of right now, you're not seeing it. You're holding your good level though. That's the good part. But again, I think the opportunity really points to more downside. In my opinion, what I'm watching. If you have questions, comment down below. But again, my opinion, what I'm looking at. I'll have more videos and stuff posted for you, more trades. Discord link down below, Twitter down below. Live stream every morning as well, 7:30 a.m. Central. Have a good one, traders.